If you could spend a day riding any route from French Grand Tour, which would you choose? A famous mountain pass, a legendary time trial course, maybe one of the routes where cycling history was made. Hi, I'm Filip from ROUVY. Today we are counting down the top 10 French Grand Tour routes you can ride right now on the ROUVY indoor cycling app. We will start at number 10 and work our way to the most iconic climb in race history. Let's get straight into it. At number 10 we have Caen. This route hosted the individual time trial during the 2025 tour. It's a fast 32km course with just over 200 meters of elevation gain, making it one of the most accessible routes on our list. The routes are wide, the terrain is rolling rather than mountainous, and the route passes landmarks like the Memorial de Caen. If you enjoy riding it in the aero position and testing your pacing skills, this is a great place to see how you would perform against the clock. At number 9 is Lille. This was the Grand Départ opening stage of the 2025 edition of the race. It's only 20 kilometers long and almost completely flat, with just 53 meters of climbing. The route takes you through Citadel Park alongside the Duel Canal and through quiet farming villages. It may not have legendary mountain passes, but it gives you the experience of riding routes that launch one of the cycling's biggest events. Sometimes race history is just as important as altitude. Moving to number 8, we leave France briefly and head to Spain for ROUVY's Barcelona seafront to San Montjuic route. This one will host the opening stage of 2026 event, which is a team time trial. It starts along Barcelona's famous waterfront before heading through the city on wide boulevards. The finale includes 2 climbs up Montjuic, adding a little punch to an otherwise fast course. Barcelona has welcomed the race before, but 2026 marks the first time the tour will actually start there. That's a significant moment for one of the world's great cycling cities, and you can experience it on ROUVY before the pros arrive. At number 7, we return to France for Évian-les-Bains to Thonon-les-Bains. This route will host the individual time trial in 2026 French Grand Tour. Set along the shores of Lake Geneva, it combines beautiful scenery with a challenging profile. The route includes around 500 meters of climbing over 28 kilometers, making it far more demanding than a typical flat time trial. What really makes this ride special is the backdrop. Alpine mountains, lakeside routes, and 2 famous spa towns create a setting that's every bit as memorable as the race itself. Number 6 is Cime de la Bonette from Lille. Now we are getting into serious mountain territory. This climb reaches more than 2,800 meters above sea level and is one of the highest paved routes in Europe. It's also the highest point ever reached by the French Grand Tour. The numbers are intimidating. Nearly 1,000 meters of climbing packed into just 14 kilometers. But what you will remember most are the endless switchbacks and the feeling of climbing higher and higher into the Alps. It's remote, spectacular, and absolutely deserving of its place on any cyclist bucket list. At number 5, we have Col du Fer. For many cycling fans, this is one of the classic alpine climbs. The route covers 34 kilometers and gains more than 1,900 meters of elevation. That's a big day out, even by mountain climbing standards. The road winds through deep valleys, past waterfalls and into high alpine terrain before reaching the summit at over 2,000 meters. What makes Croix special is that it never feels repetitive. The scenery constantly changes, and every section has its own character. It's a long climb, but it's one of the rewards patience and steady pacing. At number 4 is the giant of Provence itself, Mont Ventoux from Bédoin. Few climbs in cycling carry as much mythology as Mont Ventoux. This route includes more than 1,600 meters of climbing over 31 kilometers, and the final sections are among the most famous in the sport. The lower slopes pass through forests, but eventually the landscape opens into barren wide terrain that gives Ventoux its lunar appearance. Add strong winds, summer heat, relentless gradients, and it's easy to understand why so many riders respect this mountain. Reaching the summit feels like earning a badge of honor. Now for the podium places. At number 3, we have Alpes d'Huez. If you ever watch pro cycling for any length of time, you have almost certainly seen this climb. The 21 famous hairpin bands have become part of the cycling folklore. Each switchback brings you closer to the summit and deeper into the history of the sport. The climb gains more than 1,300 meters in just 19 kilometers, but the challenge is as much mental as physical. The road seems to stretch endlessly ahead, and every turn reminds you of the champions who have raced here before. For many cyclists, simply reaching the top of the Alpe d'Huez is a lifelong goal. At number 2 is the legendary combination of Col du Télégraphe and Galibier. This route is pure French Grand Tour history. First you climb the Télégraphe, then after a brief descent, the route rises again toward the mighty Galibier at 2,642 meters. In total, you are looking at more than 2,000 meters of elevation gain across 35 kilometers. What makes this route so memorable is its scale. The mountains feel enormous, the views seem endless, and the sense of achievement grows with every kilometer. This is one of the rides that reminds you why alpine climbing occupies such a special place in cycling culture. And finally, our number 1 French Grand Tour route on ROUVY, the Col du Tourmalet from Saint-Marie-du-Campagne. If there's one climb that defines the French Grand Tour, this is it. The Tourmalet is the most frequently used mountain in the history of the race. Since its first appearance in 1910, it has been the setting for countless attacks, victories, and unforgettable moments. The route gains more than 1,200 meters over 17 kilometers, with steady gradients that demand respect from the very first pedal stroke. What elevates the Tourmalet above every other climb is its place in cycling history. When you ride it, you are following the same route that generations of champions have used to test themselves. It's challenging without being impossible, beautiful without being overly dramatic, and iconic in a way that few climbs can match. That's why it takes our number 1 spot. If you would like to experience some of the most famous routes in professional cycling without leaving home, you will find all of these routes on the ROUVY app. So, how many of these routes have you ridden already, and which one is still on your bucket list? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a follow for more tips or subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep going!